Heart rate variability is the new buzzword in the world of health and fitness. With the rise of fitness trackers like WHOOP and Garmin, HRV is becoming a key metric for understanding how our bodies respond to stress, recovery and exercise. But what exactly is heart rate variability and what does it mean for your health? In this video, I'll answer both of these questions and in doing so uncover how HRV is measured, how it differs from heart rate and why it's such an important indicator for your fitness and recovery. Let's jump in. Firstly, let's define it. What is heart rate variability? Heart rate variability is defined as the variation in the time interval between consecutive heartbeats. Our heartbeat is not like the regular ticking of a clock, beating once per second exactly on the second each time. A healthy heartbeat is slightly irregular, which is desirable and is an indicator of how ready the body is to adapt to stress. Heart rate variability refers to this variation in time interval between consecutive heartbeats. Even if your heart rate stays the same, the intervals between beats can vary. Here's a diagram to help illustrate this. This is an ECG. The line represents the electrical activity of the heart over time. This is one single heartbeat. The number of these over a period of time represents heart rate, which is often measured in beats per minute. This is the time between each heartbeat measured in milliseconds. So this second heartbeat happened 766 milliseconds after the first heartbeat. Third heartbeat happened 802 milliseconds after the second heartbeat. Heart rate variability is the time difference in milliseconds between each successive heartbeat. So in this example, the time between beat 1 and 2 is 766 milliseconds, and the time difference between beat 2 and 3 is 802 milliseconds. The difference in time between these are 36 milliseconds. This is the heart rate variability. This is then measured for each heartbeat over a given time period and the average is taken. This then gives you your heart rate variability stat. So then the next question is, well, over what time period is it being measured? And to be honest, it completely varies, which is one of the reasons HRV scores need to be taken with a little bit of a pinch of salt. Fitness wearables typically do it over a 5-minute period during sleep, and that represents your daily HRV, body battery score, etc. A clinical setting, however, may monitor this over 24-hour periods, so it completely depends. Even though fitness trackers typically give you a fixed score for the entire day, HRV isn't fixed and will vary throughout the day depending on your nutrition, breathing, activities, meals eaten. So given the above information, I can see why some people are critical of the accuracy of some of these fitness trackers just due to the amount of variables involved, i.e. how are the time periods measured? How can one HRV score represent an entire day? Is the heart rate information for which HRV is even derived accurate? All valid arguments, but I do think they're missing the point. The key with these trackers is measuring the trends in HRV rather than the actual score itself, which in fairness to WHOOP is how it measures your recovery score on a daily basis. Heart rate variability is not the same as heart rate. Heart rate is more mechanical, i.e. it's just the beat count. HRV is more about the nervous system's control over the heart, especially the balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. This visual pattern demonstrates this. Here we have 2 heart rate patterns over 10 seconds with 10 heartbeats. Both of these may have similar average heart rates, i.e. 60 beats per minute. The top heart rate pattern in blue represents a low heart rate variability. Here the beats are evenly spaced and the intervals between the heartbeats are consistent, showing low variability. The bottom heart rate pattern in green represents high heart rate variability. The beats are irregularly spaced and the intervals vary, indicating high variability. Just a quick one, if you're enjoying this video so far, if you could like and subscribe to the channel, that would be very much appreciated. So now we know what heart rate variability is. Why is it healthy to have heart rate variability? To answer this question, it's important to understand the mechanisms behind what causes the timing of a heartbeat. The autonomic nervous system regulates involuntary actions like heart rate, digestion and breathing. It's made up of 2 components, the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight system, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest system. Each heartbeat is timed by signals from your nervous system. The sympathetic system sends signals to speed up the heart, whilst the parasympathetic system sends signals to slow it down. These systems are always active, but their relative strength shifts by second to second. HRV captures that moment-to-moment tug of war, i.e. if sympathetic is dominant, the heartbeat is quicker. What does this mean for health? Heart rate variability represents the responsiveness of this system. HRV reflects how quickly and flexibly the autonomic nervous system can adjust heart rate in response to changing conditions like movement, breathing, or stress. High variability shows the system is active, flexible, and responsive. It isn't stuck, stressed, or overwhelmed. A high heart rate variability indicates that your body can rapidly switch between sympathetic and parasympathetic depending on what's needed. So for example, if you're resting and suddenly start walking, your heart rate needs to increase, and also vice versa when you sit down. A low variability on the other hand shows the opposite. Your body can't adapt quickly to give the body what it needs. Here the heart would be beating at a constant rigid pace regardless of external influences. A car is a really good analogy for this. A high HRV car is really responsive, brakes are great and the acceleration is very smooth, you've got a ton of control. If something external happens, the car can react quickly. A low HRV car would be very unresponsive. It's not good at handling any changes in direction, any changes in speed, or any form of stress. But let's go one step further. Why does this happen? How do we get low HRV, and how does this apply to the heart? But low HRV means that one branch of the autonomic nervous system, usually the sympathetic, is dominating, reflecting a system that's under stress, fatigue, chronic tension, or illness. Again, using the car analogy to represent this, the sympathetic nervous system is the acceleration pedal, and the parasympathetic nervous system is the brakes. In a responsive car, you can slow the car down by either taking the foot off the accelerator or applying the brakes, which allows much greater control of the car. If the system, or car in our example, is under stress, the accelerator is always down, meaning you can only control the car through the brakes rather than a combination of the two, making it less responsive and therefore a lower HRV. Conversely, if the systems aren't under stress, you can control the car with the brakes and the accelerator, which gives you a high responsiveness, which in the body represents high heart rate variability. Therefore, high heart rate variability is good as it indicates that the body can adapt to external changes, stress, and maintain a healthy balance between activity and rest. So there we go. I hope this video has helped. If you have any further questions about heart rate variability or would like me to discuss further topics on this, then please drop them in the comments below. Thank you.